All right, so today we're going to start talking about the Vader series. And so a lot of people are wanting this series, and especially now that they're doing an Obi-Wan series, and we're going to see a rematch between Vader and Obi-Wan.
It would make sense.
It would make sense, especially since we see that Acolyte they have no issue exploring the dark side and having like dark side main characters be, the star of the show. And Vader is just a well-known character that it makes sense they would bring Christian.
Yeah, I mean,
back
like,
for
look at his effect on Rogue One.
exactly.
Like, Rogue One would have done great without Vader, but having him in it boosted its value that much more.
We've seen how like the effect of Vader in, just being confirmed in the Obi-Wan series, being in Rebels, and basically these smaller series, how like what an effect it is on the actual series. Like we want to see more of Vader, and so much is left out in the time of after Order 66, and like what we know he's hunting people down. We know there's a lot of stuff in the comics, but most people don't read the comics. And most people want to know where this arch villain was and what happened with him, rather than just him coming back in the original trilogy and killing Palpatine, and that was kind of his arc, and having his son, like fight him. So it makes a lot of sense that this Vader series would actually come into play now, especially since we're seeing. I'll put the timeline on the screen. They're filling in the gaps in between each not even each movie, each trilogy.
Saga, yeah.
So like the 1, 2, 3, they're filling in Bad Batch. You got where Solo, Obi-Wan, Rebels, all that stuff is filling in that timeline between the original trilogy. And then after that, we're seeing with the Mandalorian and the spinoff series, they're filling in that gap between the new movies. So we're gonna get a lot of content, and it only makes sense, especially if they're willing to go as back far as before any of this even happened. Like before Anakin, before Obi-Wan.
Yeah, old and High Republic.
Yeah, before then, if they're willing to make a series catered to, the dark side with Acolyte, it makes sense that they're going to make a Darth Vader series.
And I've been saying for months now that even though Disney did put out a statement about specifically them not making anything about the High Republic other than the comments, saw videos and was told very specifically that that's not the case.
And this was 12 months ago.
This was about a year ago, and then 2 months even after they said that, they announced Acolyte, or they announced who was attached to Acolyte, and not saying who was supposed to be like what the title was, what the show was about.
Period
I think the only thing they really said about it is that it's supposed to have 2 female main leads. That was it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that series was going to be Acolyte, and it was going to take place at the very tail end of the High Republic, but I was told very specifically, like, hey, that statement is a load of horse shit. That statement is a load of horse shit. You're going to get more things about the High Republic and maybe even further back about the Old Republic, like games, TV shows, and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're seeing, like, I just want to see Vader explored and just the dark sides explored rather than just in a video game.
Yeah.
Because that's the main thing we see him in Battlefront. We see him in the game with
Fallen Order.
Fallen Order, and we keep seeing him in video games. And it's one of those things where the majority of people do not read the comics, and the majority of Star Wars fans aren't going to play the video game.
Yeah, I think it would be a waste to not do it because everyone loves Vader.
Exactly. So it makes sense that if they're going to have him in this smaller series, they're going to have him in video games. And now that they're going back to have him again appear in the Obi-Wan series, it makes sense that like they would, make a Vader series. And everybody's like, well, nah, it's not gonna happen. But it's just like, look at Ahsoka. We knew there was gonna be an Ahsoka series. Why?
Oh yeah, for like a year now.
No, but why? Because it was
Everyone
confirmed.
loves
It was confirmed
Ahsoka.
the first episode that we saw her in. Because it was like, why would they cast her if they're not gonna do anything?
Yeah,
else
why
with
would you cast like a very well-known, liked actress like Rosario Dawson only to use her for an episode?
Exactly, and then why would they cast Christian to just bring him back for a few scenes in the?
Oh, Hayden Christensen?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like it makes no sense just to bring him back for like, yeah, he's gonna be in like maybe half of the series.
Exactly, because they could have easily, if they were only gonna bring like, oh, Darth Vader's gonna be in it for a few scenes, then it would have been
Just bring in his body double from Rogue One.
exactly, and then just have the suit on. But because they are intending to actually make a series out of it, they're like, oh, let's bring him back. And right now they're just going to be like, oh, we're going to bring him back for, the series. But in reality, it's like we're actually making something for him. Because again, why would they cast someone like that?
Right, and then we know for a fact they didn't announce everything at the Investors Day.
Yeah.
I told people that. I was like, there was a Boba show that's been filming for almost a month now. Like, they didn't announce that.
And again, that's another thing. Why would they bring back the original man who was Boba Fett?
Tamara Morrison, yeah.
If they weren't going to make a series.
Or if they weren't going to use him for at least even Captain Rex.
Exactly.
And the clones. Actually, I don't know if it's still there, but if you went to Dave Filoni's Twitter, like for a long time, he had concept art of Ahsoka and Rex in like a Mandalorian type style art, like writing some sort of, I think it was like a Tabantha or something.
Yeah, and so I mean, just to reinstate, I mean, it just makes sense that a Vader series is coming, and so a lot of people, even though after Investors Days, like Sonny was saying, there's still a lot of stuff that they're planning or working on or writing, but they're not. They can't say it yet because, again...
Story-wise, they want to keep it a secret.
Yeah, they want to keep it a secret because they can't let all the cards out the bag and be like, oh, actually, so we got a Vader series, we got a Boba Fett series. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
They wouldn't make sense for, like, they really shouldn't have announced something like the Luke Skywalker series that's rumored to be in development with like him and a young Solo, Ben Solo. That's something they should keep in the bag. Same thing with like a Mace Windu series.
Yeah,
that's
but
something
like,
they should
it
keep
makes
in the
sense
bag.
that they would release like droids and the Lando series.
Bad
because
Batch.
those are like independent. Well, I'm talking specifically like droids and Lando. While they are important parts in the timeline, those are characters that aren't necessarily explored.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're not heavily explored.
And they're not gonna have like a big impact on the whatever story Dave Filoni's trying to tell,
Exactly.
or whatever the movies are gonna tell.
Like for example, if they were like, "Oh, we're doing a Luke series," you're like, "Okay, this is like major timeline information."
Yeah,
whereas
it's like okay.
Lando's like, "Oh, what was Lando doing at this time? Here's a series about what he was doing."
Yeah, right. And if they had announced the Luke series, you're gonna be like, "Where is this dude gonna pop up other like any other place?"
Yeah,
and
so,
that could have spoiled the last episode of Mando for people.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm saying. People should just see from like the fan support and just what they keep doing. If they're casting someone that they've had on in the movies before, it only makes sense that they would make a series or include them in something bigger than just that. Because think about it, if you're including someone a big name from that original like saga, it comes with money, right? So if they really only wanted to introduce Darth Vader like they did in Rebels, we're like, oh, he comes back for a fight scene with Ahsoka. Are they going to be like, oh, we're going to cast Hayden Christensen as the voice? No, because it doesn't make sense because they got to pay him a ton of money to come back.
I mean, they would because they did it in episode 9, The Last Jedi. The Rise of Skywalker.
No, but that's a major movie. I'm talking about series-wise.
Oh, you mean like yeah.
Like
no.
I'm saying like for Rebels, why would they wouldn't be like, hey, Hayden, come here and do this voiceover for like one scene. It just doesn't make sense.
No. I mean, they did get Matt Lantern back for Anakin, but he had multiple lines, but it still wasn't a lot.
Yeah, and that's my point. They're not gonna, even him, he's not a world-renowned, like he's not known as much as people think. Whereas like Hayden Christensen is like, dude, that's Anakin. Yeah. That's Anakin and Vader. So it's like, why would they bring him back if they're not gonna do anything with it? So I'm just gonna leave it at that, and I want you guys to drop a comment down below what you guys think about Vader making a return, where you think he's gonna return in the timeline, and how you think it'll play out. But we're going to go ahead and move forward on to our next topic.